So I feel like I'm not putting out enough content, so I decided to make a YouTube video. I like how I talk. It's pretty interesting. I'll stop on a word and I'll completely disarticulate it. It's okay. I've been noticing a lot of stuff recently with myself. I'm not in tune anymore. How do I describe being in tune? Like, I haven't seen myself. I haven't been, you know, comfortable with a lot of things. And I'm finally getting back to it, like, legitimately. Like, I would tell people, like, oh, I'm getting back to myself. But I was living in a really closed-minded context. And it didn't work out too well. But where am I now, you know? Um, very hydrated at this point, drinking at least like 4,000 different like milliliters of water. I'm not sure if that's a lot actually, but you know, it was just me pointing out like random things because of the excitement within me, because it feels pretty good to be hydrated. Um, so kind of want to lay down some concepts for people that might need them, you know. Um, where should I start though? So I see a lot of righteousness and judgment nowadays, and I just want like, and of course I'm going about it too because I'm sitting here like thinking about what they're doing and like pointing it out in some sort of way. But what I'm trying to get at is you can't really judge a person's requirements for their own health. So you can't say, this is what I think you should be doing. You can't say um, that what you're doing is going to hurt you, because what's right for one person may not be right for the next person. And so I'm kind of trying to get rid of the entire like value system of morals and ethics inside me, because they don't help me for what I need, you know. And what I need is mental freedom, to be honest. So like, yeah, well, we'll put it in a way that I can directly relate to. And many arguments have been fought over this because I have a righteous friend myself. But personally, I believe that murderers are only doing what they want to do in that moment, right? It's just a desire of theirs. Yeah, they're killing someone. White flags are hoisted, you know, like, that's wrong. But it may not be wrong to them. It may be wrong to you, it may be wrong to me, but that doesn't mean that they're wrong, right? You gotta think about that a little bit, you gotta connect to it. I think that, personally, if I were in front of a murderer killing someone, I would be scared, yes, I would be like, this is terrible, blah blah blah, feelings would come up, emotions would come up, etc., etc. But what I'm trying to say is mindsets can be so drastic, mindsets and perceptions can be so drastically different that one person might not understand the next. And really trying to get into that ideal with myself. So there's judgment, but there's also discerning. Discerning's more towards what you think you should be doing. And I'm trying to shift back towards discerning instead of judgment, you know. Judgment is external, and it makes you think that practicing the perspective from an external belief, or external perspective, the perspective from an external perspective, there we go, that's a pretty interesting way to put it. practicing that perspective makes you habitually judge, because it's like what I want, right, is chocolate, or what I want is a person to hold, to love, and then you start wanting more and more. That's desire. It's human nature, as they put it, quotation marks. But in my efforts, my experience, my decision making, I guess, self set, I guess the words would be. I'm just using words at the top of my head. Um, I think that the focus should be internal. It should be towards yourself. It should be based on you. And I preach pretty often that you have to be you. You have to look at you. You have to, I guess, find things that are you, not what they are to another person. um, and so it's like, the best way I could put it from an analogy standpoint is, life is a buffet of choices, and the choice that you make may or may not benefit you, and there should be no morals involved. Because then that limits you from choosing a specific thing. It's like saying, that looks ugly, it smells great, tastes great actually, but I don't want to eat it because it looks ugly. That's kind of what it's saying, and I think that you should not judge a thing before you attempt it, before you experience it, but also know when to observe things longer, so that way you can decide whether or not to attempt it in the first place. It's hard to explain what I mean by that. It's like things, right? Let's say you think about jumping off the Eiffel Tower, base jumping or whatnot, instantly you get a feeling, right? You get that feeling. And I'm going to term it vibration because it's the easiest thing for it to refer to, or for me to refer it to. You know what I mean? But there's a vibration in you. There's this thing that's like bam, right? And what I mean by observing things before you actually attempt it is, if that vibration does not fit a goal or an intention or a feeling inside you that you desire, just intuitively you should avoid it, right? But if you think base jumping and you get that feeling, but it's something that you desire, you should go for it, right? It's just as simple as desire and observing, what your desire is, the alignment towards that desire, the observing of the action or the feeling that you get from it. And then let's say you want to attempt it, you attempt it, but then it starts off great. You're like, okay, I'm gonna do this for a long time, and then suddenly there's this drop off in desire, this goal reach, this intention, and people, like, let's say it's a job or something even, people tend to stick with it because they've committed to it, they're determined, but as many things, or as many people say, and many like prophets or messiahs and whatnot, they say, like, in different words on their own, you should live in the moment. You should live here, now, do as you are, rather than what you will be or what you were, because otherwise you're living a fake you. And what I'm saying is, like, if you have a job and you cannot do it anymore, but you're like, I need the money, blah blah blah, I still think you should quit. Living a life on the streets and getting food from, yeah, albeit small amounts of food, surviving in the first place, just being able to survive on the streets, right, instead of living a shitty job that you just do not want to do. Whichever one feels better, I would go for it. And like I said, living on the streets, you get a vibration from it. Me personally, I'd rather do, that, living on the streets, than dealing with a job 9 to 5, just dying from it every day, and just it's not working, and like it kills me. But every person has a subjective set of ideals and concepts and feeling makeups. They're different, like, personality types is what I'm saying, except with emotion and the way the psyche works. The psyche is mostly standard from what I've seen, but there's a lot of stuff that just have been moved around in it with some people, and it just makes things different. Um, but emotions are different in every single human being. You can't ground them. You can't make them standard. The only thing that you can really keep standard on emotions is the hormone or the chemical compound that makes them up. That's the only thing that I can see out of emotions that would be standardized. But what I'm trying to say is, just let people be people. Just be who you are, and be true to yourself. Be authentic. Because otherwise you'll be living a fake you, and things won't work the way they're supposed to work, because of the simple fact that your existence, your reality, without you there's a missing puzzle piece, right? So you have to find the puzzle piece that you fit at, rather than the spot that's not yours. Otherwise there's a missing hole there. You know what I mean? And there's also you trying to shove yourself, damaging either you or other puzzle pieces, that are in a certain space that isn't your space. You know what I mean? It's like pushing and shoving. Until you are you, right? There's this friction and tension that you don't need to deal with, that you shouldn't have to deal with. But of course, like I said, that's my morals, that's my beliefs. And but if my words, right, this is what I'm saying, right? If my words create a feeling inside of you that feels right, that aligns to certain goals, that's the simple action of following. You don't need to follow me in my footsteps, you know what I'm saying? But be who you are, not who they are. Or, like, let's say, back to the job illusion. If you're in somebody else's dream job spot, right, you're, one, ruining their dream to a degree, or two, escaping yours. You know what I mean? It fits the puzzle piece analogy. So it's best to be who you are. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I look at myself and I go, I'm really glad to be alive. I'm really glad to see from this vehicle, this tool's perspective. And of course, people aren't tools, but this is mine. It may be me, but there's a me that says, I can control what's inside of this. I don't know how to describe it other than the way I did. But yeah, I think my words are kind of dense in this video, but that's okay. It's just who I am, Sorry, I'm just kind of messing with my own words. But yeah, I hope you guys have a nice day. And maybe at some other point you'll see me in another video. Hopefully I get a job. I'm really trying. But I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.